So, this week in the grief and death discussion, I wanted to talk about two deaths that have impacted my life. The first is my grandfather's. He passed away over 10 years ago, so I was about 12 or 13 at the time. And I remember it like it was yesterday. And my family and I had flown from Florida to Mississippi, where my grandparents were, and my grandfather was in hospice. We got in after midnight in Jackson, and we drove straight to the place where he was staying. And we told him we loved him, said our goodbyes. And by the time we had gotten home from the place, about an hour and a half later, my sister and I were in the guest bedroom sleeping, and my mom got a phone call. And I remember her, I guess she was talking to the nurse, saying that he had passed away. And not even my parents know that I knew at the time that he passed away late at night. So it was kind of interesting. They always say that they wait for you to get there to say their goodbyes so they can pass peacefully. So that was something that definitely impacted me. The second was my ex-boyfriend's stepfather. He passed away 2 years ago, and it was a totally different experience for me when it came to death and grieving, because I am now older and more mature, and it wasn't somebody necessarily so close to me, one of my family members, but I did think of him as a father figure as well. But he had pretty much raised my boyfriend at the time from a little kid all the way up, so it was definitely a father figure for him. But he had been sick with end-stage renal disease, and he was on dialysis a few days a week, and he had asked to be brought back to the house. And about 2 weeks after he had been brought back was when he passed away. It was Good Friday of Easter, and I just remember the family, we were all sitting around eating dinner, and the nurse jumped up out of her chair and noticed that he had stopped breathing. And that's when his family kind of just paused for a minute and took a deep breath, because they knew at that point that he was really gone. And from there on out, we had waited for a few hours. We waited for the police to show up. Then the people from the funeral home had to come, and once they took his body out of the home, that's when the family really started to break down and cry, because I think that's when reality hit them, that he was no longer going to be there with them. So two different experiences, and they're both unique in their nature. And I can say that when I was younger, yeah, you may think that kids aren't really impacted by death, or they don't understand the meaning of it, but I certainly did. And with his family, with his stepfather's death, they had taken all of the kids away because they didn't want the kids to be impacted. But I feel like it's a good experience for kids to go through and begin to understand and start developing those things. But again, it's two different cultures. He was from a Hispanic background. So it's interesting to see culturally family differences and beliefs. Like I said, my grandfather passed away in a hospice home. They brought his stepfather back to the house because those were his wishes, to be back at the house. And just very interesting stuff this week with the discussion. Thank you.